This is a long-term performance review of my PlayStation 5 console. This is the original PlayStation 5 console that I've put many hours into. I barely bring this one out from the TV, but I decided to bring it out from my setup today to talk about it because this is like my prized possession, and I'm bringing it out because I want to talk about a long-term performance review of the PlayStation 5. How has it performed over time? Does it still work? Yes, absolutely it still works. After a couple of years of using it, it has been my most prized possession, my biggest asset of this channel is this PlayStation 5. I did change the plates to the Spider-Man limited edition plates because, man, they just look awesome. I love the design of them and they are very robust. They haven't scratched. They are made out of a really great material. All of the accessories are made out of really good materials. Hasn't broken or anything over time. Bendability, it's a little bit bendable, but it's flexible enough to be able to adjust and take the plates off quite easily. Over time, it has done really well. The only issues that I have with the PlayStation 5 is the loading time of turning on the console. You do have to wait a little bit for it to boot up from scratch. So yeah, having it on rest mode is a lot better for faster boot up time, but the problem is if you disconnect a cable, disconnect the power cable, you risk damaging your PlayStation 5. That's why I don't do it. So yes, I sometimes load up my PlayStation 5 in the background for like my videos and stuff like that, but the biggest drawback is I literally have to sit there and wait a little bit, like a minute, for it to like load up fully, and then sometimes it might come up with an error saying I've accidentally disconnected a cable, and that has to fix my hard drive because that accidentally disconnected. So that is my biggest problem with the PlayStation 5 is just the cables, man. Like if I accidentally do something like disconnect a cable by accident, oh man, like all hell breaks loose with the PlayStation 5. Another thing is the fan noise. Over time, I've noticed the original model, like the fan noise just picks up heaps. And people have said about the PlayStation 5 Slim as well. It's the biggest drawback about the console. It is a little bit noisy, but after a little bit of the load time, it sort of calms down a little bit with the noise. There's always noise coming out of this console, even when you're loading up games and stuff like that. I can really hear the fan working. So hopefully with the PlayStation 5 Pro, with an upgraded like GPU component and CPU component, they will be more powerful and be able to run the games a little bit smoother and better with less noise. Now, it's a huge step up from the PlayStation 4 era, obviously, because PlayStation 4 was just known for fan noise, essentially. Like, it was the biggest drawback with the console. But with the PlayStation 5, they've definitely improved on it. But hopefully, with future generations of the PlayStation 5, they really improve on that fan noise and really just make it a smooth experience overall. In terms of the general gameplay, you're gonna be blown away. Like games like Spider-Man are super next gen. Like I love how quick it is to get from one point to the next, man. Like it just instantly goes. The load times in the games themselves, like Returnal, if you go from one place to the next, it happens like that. It is super fast load times. Ratchet & Clank, for example, as well, Rift Apart, how it goes from one area to the next. There's zero load times in the game. So once you get the PlayStation 5 up and working, then it's like, boom, you're in it, zero load times. That has been incredible. Load times for Red Dead Redemption 2 have been okay as well. It still takes a minute to load the game, but there's zero sort of load screens when it comes to the games as well. So that has been a massive upgrade and positive from the last generation to this generation in terms of performance. Zero problems with the output, like TV output. Games look great, fantastic. The games load a bit slower than the Xbox, but overall, pretty decent nonetheless. Overall, I've covered also the mid part with the dark plate mid strip, and that has worked really well for me for finger marks for the middle part because people used to always say that. I've always got it this way instead of on its side because people have said if you have it on its side, you risk sort of damaging the console internally as well. That's like a known issue. I love having USB Type A at the front as well with the Type-C connection as an extra. With the PlayStation 5 Slim, they took out that Type-A connection. I just think, man, we just need those Type-A connections for the front as well as the back. I really like that about this console. Apart from like the few things where things accidentally get pulled out, I think overall like it's been pretty good. In terms of cleaning, it's been really easy to clean and pretty well kept over the long period of time. There's only a little bit of dust internally. I haven't seen any problems. Maybe it is because of that fan noise picking up, that I do need to check it more internally. But overall, pretty good. In terms of the accessory range as well, like everything, even from the newer ones to the older ones that I've had for a couple of years, like some of the DualSense controllers, the original DualSense controller, super well kept, not really scratching at all, still works the same as day one, no lag, no issues whatsoever. Overall, I do see a little bit of dust as well inside the ventilation, so it's definitely something that I need to look at in terms of just dust protection, just cleaning the internals, and it's super easy to take off these faceplates as well. I have scratched the internal of this console by accident, just by forcefully taking off that faceplate, so just be careful when taking off those faceplates. I did upgrade the internal SSD to another terabyte embedded, and that has been a really good asset for this console. Really good because it loads the games off the 1 terabyte SSD extra, and you get to save games in it and play games off of it. That's the difference between the hard drive and the internal SSD. And there's all sorts of SSDs that have different load times and stuff like that. People have said the Samsung ones work better than WD Black. I'm using WD Black, but overall, it has been a really good experience with the WD Black SSD nonetheless. I have scratched a faceplate before by accident, just by accidentally dropping one of these consoles. So I was really sad about this. But yes, there are scratch marks right there. So make sure you're just being careful, just like not being like me and just leaving these PlayStation 5s just laying around doing nothing. As you can see, there is a lot of dust. This was the one that came with the faceplates here, but I decided to put the white plates on here so I can have this as my main console and not have to transfer anything across to this version of the console. But I still need this one because I like to do extra tests with the PlayStation 5, but maybe I'll sell this one, I'm not too sure. Overall, this one has been pretty good. See, the mid part does definitely leave marks and stuff like that if you have your fingers on it, but overall, it's pretty good. It's done its incredible job of just being here as well. I see an internal scratch as well, so just being careful about the plates. That would be the main advice that I would give to you, and just being careful when replacing the plates. Try not to really force it. Watch a tutorial when removing those plates, and that way you can maintain your PlayStation 5 the best way. PS5 Slim has been pretty good. Overall, I like that it's a bit of a smaller console. The fan noise, I've heard, is a bit of an issue with this console because it's a smaller body, but different internals, like they sort of switched the internals where everything is, but apart from that, it's pretty good. Overall, I like the sleek design. Also, the LED lights are always pretty awesome. Also, I like the upgrade of the black plates or just any plates to the original plates on the PlayStation 5 Slim, because you get sort of like a matte finish and then a glossy finish on the top. Sort of weird. I prefer a hole-in-one finish. In terms of game installation, it's pretty good as well. Load times for games in general when downloading them have been pretty good. When you download online with the PlayStation Plus, you have to install the game and download it. But what's really cool is you can play a game while you're installing a game at the same time. So at least you can use the PlayStation 5 even when you've just bought one brand new. When you just bought a PlayStation 5, you can still play a game while you're downloading other games. So that's a massive positive. In terms of the UI, they separate the menus, which is also a massive plus. I wish there was more choices of backgrounds, or more going on with the backgrounds, but I love how each thing changes per game. You get a different scene with different music, for example, and you get all sorts of different backgrounds per game that you get, which is a really massive positive. I like that. Love the home bar, home menu. That's worked perfectly fine. There's a lot of tips and tricks there. Even the DualSense controller, there's a whole bunch of shortcuts. To round it all up, pretty good with the PlayStation 5. There's just a few things there that I wish they would improve. Hopefully they're going to improve that with the PlayStation 5 Pro, and I'm excited for the future of PlayStation 5.